when you hit that full bars, you know exactly what song that is. You know exactly what's coming, and people go crazy. It's just that energy. And I feel now when I go to lounges and things like that, I feel like younger, my age now, I don't think they're having so much fun that we did. You know, like that. Everybody's like, yeah. And now it's too cool to dance. It's too cool to dress up. You know, and I'm like, oh. That's so amazing too, though, that you literally had a top 40 billboard with Welcome to Magic City. So I don't know.
But everything is lovely when the sun is out. We trying to have a good time is what I'm talking about. Cookouts, barbecues, and the fish fries. Blue lights, basement parties, I ain't never lied. Okay, I made it through the rough time. I made it through the tough time. I made it through the bad time. So now I gotta get mine. Gotta weather the storm. Gotta get mine. Gotta weather the storm.
Well, welcome to another episode of Bailey and Buck Unplugged with your superstar team of Bailey and Buck hosts. I'm the CEO of the Kennedy Kids Foundation, celebrity event and wedding planner, former NFL cheerleader, and that is how I met my co-host, Robert Bailey, and made him my brother. So Robert Bailey joining us, our two-time Super Bowl and national champion, ESPY Award winner, and Guinness Book of World Record holder for the 30th year in a row, people. Happy anniversary, Robert. He is also the president of Rosenhouse Sports and the Kennedy Kids Foundation, which our podcast directly benefits. And of course, we have our celebrity mental health coach and author of the Athlete Mental Health Playbook, Missy Buck. She is also a supporter of the Kennedy Kids Foundation and serves on our board. And so I have the distinct pleasure today of introducing one of my great friends. We recently, over the last 3 years, met courtside at the Miami Heat game. She is a phenomenal woman, Russian singer-songwriter and fashion designer Radmila Lolly, who literally went viral for her self-designed Miami Heat gown, which, by the way, I also have an original copy of that she made me just for myself in honor of my hubs, and I loved it. And the Miami Heat, of course, then had to make her the official Miami Heat courtside lady, as well as the most fashionable courtside woman in the NBA. Let's welcome Radmila Lolly. Thank you so much for having me.
That was great, baby. That was great. A lot of good energy there.
Miami Heat style. This is how she's being introduced. I've been practicing this for 3 days now.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I can tell you guys are close. You're so excited, and it means a lot that to me that you guys are so close. And she just seems like she brings you a lot of happiness.
Oh, she does. She does.
Yeah.
I'd love for her to talk to us today about like just how she started in Russia, where she began. And because Radmila, for what I know of her and how accomplished she is, opera singer. She's done the national anthem for the Marlins, the Heat. I think she's working on the Dolphins. She's designed a line of attire for the Heat, the Marlins, the Miami Hurricanes. It's spiraled out of control, but that's not how she started. This is a self-made woman. And, I'm a self-made woman, and I love my powerful women, and my tribe is my vibe. And so Radmila, when I met her, I actually met her in the flagship lounge because she was hanging out with Kamal, when really I didn't know that Kamal was actually hanging out with her. And Kamal is the owner of Haute Living, and she was wearing this fantastic Heat dress and that looked like mine. And I was overjoyed and stunned. And literally 3 months later, she presented me one as a gift. She wouldn't even let me pay her for it. She was like, here you go. And it was so cool. But Radmila, please, if you could share with our listeners how you started in Moscow, where your beginnings were from, because really, I think you are one of the most mentally healthy and strong women I know, considering where you came from and how you got your beginnings. So I'd love for you to share.
Thank you so much. Yeah, so I think I do believe growing up, didn't have much. And it was my mother and I do believe the love that my mom gave me really drove me to where I am today. By that said, is when you have somebody who really believes in you, close to you, and of course, she was navigating me, not just giving me empty promises, you can do it, but also giving me a foundation with certain things, but believing that you can do anything in this world, just like you just have to get started. I think it's so important. Just like when people say, well, why would you think you can now win Academy Awards? But I'm like, well, if the people that won Academy Awards did not believe they're going to win, they would not win. They would never have won. So you have to go for it, and you have to put everything on the line. So if some things doesn't work out, you know you did everything. You know you put everything into it, because the worst thing you can do is quit. And I'm not, look, my life changed and evolved to a completely different space that I never thought I would be in the sports world. My life was in being in the classical world or fashion design, one-of-a-kind pieces. But you evolve as your journey evolves. Obviously, I'm a very spiritual person. My faith drives me throughout my life. And I'm still learning about faith, even day by day. It's endless. And what I find about myself and really being spiritual in the past, I would say 10 years, and really trusting the journey, because, as a woman, you think, okay, you're 25. What are you doing with your life? I'm 38. But, it's like some things I didn't have, but I thought I should have. And I think we all sometimes might feel that way, but then it's not your journey. You just have to keep working. Everybody's journey is completely different. Never compare yourself to anyone. And look, it's just funny how my life was like. I started modeling when I was very young, and I never liked the industry the way I was treated. And, obviously when you're super young, 15 years old, you're hearing those things about yourself. You really don't know who you are yet as a person. So it can really break, some people can break. And, I was more staying away from that and pursuing more of studying and music and classical world. But again, I didn't really fit in the classical world either, because I wanted to do music with hip hop and opera, and I wanted to do Cirque du Soleil style and cinematic music. And so I could never really fit in. But in a way, you have to embrace, if you can't fit in, that's actually kind of, I think it's cool. And you should embrace who you are. And so when the modeling agency would tell me, oh, you're too tall, you're too short, I don't know, too skinny, too big, and oh, your hair is different in color, we don't look. So I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm going to be on the cover of magazine for my own stuff. And I guess I am. So, and hey, they want me to put me in designer clothes. Well, I guess I'm going to design my own clothes.
That's great.
Literally designing her own clothes, literally singing her own track, literally like designing her own makeup. Like the creations are so impressive, and your resilience is like even over the top when it comes to that. Like, I tell them how you like literally sat courtside and learned basketball. Like the woman knows so much about basketball now, but she knew zero about basketball when she sat at her first game. And she's only been sitting courtside now for 4 years. Yes?
6 seasons.
6 seasons. Sorry, my bad. 6.
No, yeah, I'm very honest about it. I moved here from New York, and in New York, I knew zero. I mean, I did not get into sports world at all, and I was very involved with the fashion world and classical world, music wise. And I would love to go to concerts, different symphonies, but I never went to. I think I went to maybe 2 basketball games in my life, and I was like, "What am I doing here?" And that was in the box. It was different experience anyhow. And so when we moved here, my partner was saying, "Let's get Miami Heat tickets," and I was like, "Why would I go to a basketball game? Like, do I look like I'm going to go to a basketball game?" And
You
he's
still don't, by the way. You still don't look like you're going to
Hey.
basketball.
And then he was like, when you're in Miami Heat is part of the culture. Obviously, Knicks is huge part of the culture of New York, but New York still has more things, I feel like. And, we can really learn the Miami kind of scene. I was like, okay. So he's friends with Shane Battier, and Shane worked with the Heat. So he called him and said, "Hey, do you have any courtside tickets?" And she's like, "Oh my God, you wouldn't believe. We just got 4 courtside tickets. Somebody had it for 15 years or something like that. And they moved away to California. And today is the day they're available. You want to look at it?" And then John was like, "Hey, you want to go look at it?" I was like, "Of course they're available, because who wants those tickets? Nobody wants those tickets."
Oh my God.
Oh my God, I would die for those tickets.
A dream.
I'm
You
just
really
showing how
wanna-
ignorant I was. I mean, I'm very straightforward. Like I know when I know some things I know, but I don't, and I'm good to say that. So I was like, "Yeah, nobody wants those," and he's like, "Trust me, everybody wants it." So So when we went, and I had no idea that he knows so much about basketball because we never talked about basketball. And so I learned so much about my partner in the past 6 years. Anyway, so we go in, and then we met, actually, she's my dear friend, Anna, now. And I met Anna, and she was showing the tickets. And I was like, oh, okay, I guess I could. I mean, And then she goes, but your tickets come with the concerts. I was like, oh, okay, let's take them then. Because I thought I would be going to all the concerts, not any games. And it's funny because I don't go to any concerts now. I only go to the games.
That's funny.
And so, yeah, and then we got them, and I was like, well, I'm not going to be dressing, I'm going to be dressing the way I dress. And he goes, yeah, do your thing. And I remember I went to the first preseason game, and I was like, oh, because, I'm a performer, and I love the energy of the fans and all that, like, togetherness. And you don't really get that in the classical concert. So I was like, oh my God, I'm falling in love with the energy. And how can I bring this energy to the world I am at that moment? And that's when my brain starts spinning about combining my music or what I'm doing with this culture. And that just was at the beginning. Of course, I did not know how to connect those two worlds yet, but I just fell in love with the game. And obviously I had no idea what's happening on the board. And I just, I can follow the score. And so, but from there, just talking to other people and obviously being there and just observing, you just become part of it and then start understanding the rules and a lot. I mean, obviously I can't talk about like the certain names of the plays and things like that, but I probably can tell you what's going to happen in the game and what the player's going to do. And I'm not that knowledgeable when it comes to like the exact names, like I said, but I do know the outcome of the game probably. And so when I talked to John, my partner, and he would explain to me certain things, I was like, oh, okay. Like I remember first thing he told me in the first game we went in, he goes, well, he's a scorer and not so much of a shooter. I was like, what's the difference? And then now, of course, I understand what that means.
Right.
And so before I was like, well, score, shooter, you're shooting, you score, in my head. But
That's
it's a
funny.
to the game.
Yeah, her advancement in the game, like his far surpassed mine. And I sit on the other side of the court from her. And I'm like, when I talk to her now about basketball, I feel like I'm talking to one of the boys. And I'm just at her like, wow, you really spent some time on this to make sure you knew what was happening. She'd be like, yeah, didn't you know so-and-so got traded and this one got drafted and then that, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no, I didn't know. I only watch it when I go to the game. I eat popcorn, I drink the drinks, and then I go, it's over.
That's funny. Was basketball the first sport that you were into? I mean, even growing up as a child, you didn't watch soccer or, any of that? Basketball was the first sport?
I would say I did watch a lot of tennis, and especially tennis early 2000s. And
did you play tennis?
No, I never played. Unfortunately, my mom never put me into any sports. She was afraid something gonna happen to me, and also have to do like tennis lessons and stuff like that. So we couldn't afford something like that. And yeah, because in Russia it was very big gymnastics, tennis for women, and for boys it was soccer and like hockey and things like that. But yeah, unfortunately, I didn't get the chance to play. But everything for a reason. It's okay.
Right.
So I did watch soccer for a little bit because I was dating a soccer player back in the day. And so that was it.
Who was it? Who was it?
Is he still a soccer player? Is he still a soccer player?
No, he's like, I mean, I was like 18. And so
young.
Yeah. No. That's what I'm saying, like early 2000s. I'm pretty aware of like Cristiano Ronaldo career and Ronaldo. That was my era.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
and I think it was a fun era. I mean, I know every person says their era was fun, but my era was fun, I think.
Well, I have a question that falls under really, your entertainment umbrella. So, reading up on your journey, it's obvious that your first love was music, right? And then through your music, you started to like transition and implement fashion, right? They talk about how you started to do your own clothes, right? Because when you first get into the music business, you got the A&R director. Everybody's trying to direct you and tell you how to do things and hold your hand. And so was there a particular incident that happened or an event that happened maybe at when you're producing a show or something that happened that you said, hey, you know what? I got to do my own. I don't like the clothes they're putting me in. I got to do my own fashion. Like, what happened that made you say, I'm going to take over this space in my career?
Well, so my grandmother was a dressmaker and a seamstress, and my mom also an artist. So growing up, I would always sketch, and I could not paint like my mom, but I could definitely sketch and ideas and things like that. And I always had a passion. My mom would always want to put me into just like kids' clothes, and I was so upset because I wanted to be in like gown or something.
Yeah, sure.
So I would make scarves. I would take her stuff and make things, would dance in front of the mirror. Not being a singer, not being a designer at that point, but I just,
Right.
it was fun. And yeah, so from there, I always kind of knew that I had a thing for fashion and could put things together. Obviously, I was a kid and teenager. I wasn't confident enough to do so. And I didn't have a training, but I did know how to sew because my mom, so I would sew a lot of things when I was a kid. So when I moved to New York, I was about 2019, around that age, and I was modeling. I did all the fashion weeks and things like that. And obviously learning about textiles and from the designers. But the real truth is I would always be out and about in New York City. I mean, young model being invited to a lot of different things. And
Right.
I would show up in the same outfit, and I'm not going to wear just a simple outfit. And so I remember I was invited to I remember Cipriani concert series was at 55 Wall Street. So it was like a big events all the time, ballrooms. So I was like, okay, I need to figure it out. So I used to go to a lot of, I remember that store, Lohlman's. Yeah. So I used to, they had like evening division. Nobody knew about it really. So downstairs, I would go there in the morning, pick up some things that I can afford. And everybody was like, oh my God, where do you buy those things? And I'm like, oh, I found some. I'm not going to tell them.
Right.
Now I can tell, but before I was embarrassed. But it was a really nice. So I would always style my stuff with, in a way, it's kind of cool to find inexpensive things and style it and people complimenting, because when you spend a lot of money, you better get compliments. But when you actually cool to get the compliments, and people had no idea. And I like to mix expensive things with inexpensive. So
Right.
I think but then I also got to the point where I can't keep doing that. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go to 38th Street and pick up a bunch of fabric. And I didn't have a sewing machine. So I was like, how do I put together? Because that was the same day I had a huge event, and I was like, I have to put a gown together. So I bought this 3 different fabric. I literally bought this cool gold pins, and I just did this crazy dress with like gold chains. It was really cool. And so when I showed up, obviously I'm like, oh my God, those people can tell that I'm wearing like a fabric with a bunch of pins. And I was like, who makes this dress? And I was like, oh, that's great. And then I got a lot of compliments. So I felt confident. And I remember Mickey Rourke was at the table and he was carrying my tray. I was like, oh my God, I'm living the life of New York City. And
Right.
I just bought this fabric this morning. But anyway, so from there on, I got home and I was like, how am I going to clean this dress? So I actually undid the dress. I washed it. And then next thing you know, I can't put it together the same way. So that dress was never seen again. I wish I had pictures. That was before Instagram, so I don't have the picture.
Wow.
And you said Mickey Rourke was carrying your train?
Yes.
That's
Like
hysterical.
2008, 2007. And I think he just did that movie Wrestler. So, as a 20-year-old girl, obviously very new on the scene, everybody was questioning, like, who is this girl? Like, no, she's not dating anybody. And because I actually did not date anybody, but in general, I'm very private about my life. And then, and also, I was kind of I'm not going to call myself like a B word, but I was in the way, you have all this men coming at you and
You could say it. You could say it. It's a podcast.
People were like, yeah, she's kind of a bitch. And because
Right.
I was very, now I smile a lot because, I can really answer. But before, I was kind of like, I didn't want to, because a lot of men would hit on me and things like that. And so,
Right.
and people like, oh, she probably has a dad or somebody is paying those things. And I'm even like, that's fine. Yes, I have a dad, because I didn't want for them also, if they feel like I have a father who is gonna, punch them if they do something. So in a way, it's good. It's protection for me than having this girl, like nobody can protect. So I have to, play my role to be in the scene, but also having my life and not being part of what they want me to do. You know what I mean? So
Right.
always like mystery for a lot of those people. But then, after a while, after a year or two, this is just Radmila, leave her alone, But anyway, that's my fashion story. And from there, I started getting confidence to do it my own stuff. And then my mom also can sew. So I would buy a lot of fabrics. My mom would put it together for me. And that's how I started. And then I started dating John in 2011, 12, something like that. And then I would pursue classical music. Again, I was not happy just classical music. I wanted to do something fun and with different artists. Again, finding my voice in that. How do you combine those two took me years. And then by the age 29, I finally found my style and voice and grew from there. And so John would always see me making my clothes. He would say, why wouldn't you just do like a fashion show, like release a line and combine it with your music? And that was his idea. And I was like, well, yeah, but certain things, it's not just easy to put a line together. I mean, let's just be realistic. I always tell people it's expensive. And even if you yourself, doesn't matter. The fabrics, the fashion show. I mean, you have to find sponsors. And being an entrepreneur, it's 24/7. When people just say, oh, I can just turn off my brand at 6 o'clock. It doesn't work that way. You're always working, if you want to be successful. And yes, it's nice to say I'm an entrepreneur, but it comes with a lot of shit. Let's just be, and it's very expensive. And you have to have, you have to have different incomes. You have to support that. Of course, you can cut a lot of costs as you go and learning about your brand and things like that, but it's not cheap. And so you have to have job or something to support your vision. And I always tell people, you can't just quit the job. Yes, maybe work less hours, work on your thing at night, but it's not just you like, I don't like when people say, oh, you would have been entrepreneur, quit your job and just live your dream. How? People have bills. So I'm not one of those people. I'm like, let's be realistic. Yes, you can definitely be it, but step at a time.
Well, what's even crazier for you is you didn't just aren't just living your dream and figuring out how to be an entrepreneur. More so, I feel like you have the thickest skin of any woman I've ever met. Like you have a tough mental ability to deal with. Because everybody doesn't like everything that you do. There are people that also don't like the fact that she overdresses for the game, which I don't agree with. She's not overdressed. And now everything is heat embroidered in some form or fashion. She actually has raised the bar on what the court at the Heat should look like. Like we should look just fashionable and fun as the Lakers. This is Miami, people. And these are the women we need.
And me and my Target tank top, like.
Okay, you're on a podcast, Misty. You can wear your Target tank top any day you want to. But
of course.
Radmila, please, how do you deal with when the energy is not high and the energy is not positive? How did you develop the mental toughness to even accept that and punch through it?
Yeah, I was going to ask that too. I'm super curious about your mental resilience because it sounds like your story is, beautifully woven together, but there has to have been challenges. So exactly what Bailey's saying. How do you have that mental toughness and resilience? We're always on the same page, by the way, Bailey. But
no, I'm actually very, well, I mean, I don't want to say that, but I think about the world every day and how much needs this world has. And there's a lot of great people out there to making this world better every day. But when it comes to big picture, not just this country, big picture, how many people suffering? How many people have no water and have no health? It's not even close what we have in this country, what other countries don't have. And so when I think that, and I'm comparing my down days, and sometimes it's very difficult sometimes to wake up and keep moving. But I do know, Radmila, you have to get up because I do a lot of philanthropy on the side that I don't talk about and a lot of different things. And that's what drives me every day, how I can wake up and push my thing so I can do things for others. And that's what drives me. And because I always say we on this earth for a very short time in the big picture, and what we leave behind us, the legacy, positive legacy. If maybe somebody sees this podcast and somebody goes, you know what, I can do this. This is one person. And from there, it's 3 people, 5 people, 10 people. So spreading, and I'm not just like, oh, let's spread love. Yes, you have to be spreading love, but also with them.
That's the key.
Yes, and so for me, that's what drives me. And it's of course somebody is always going to have a sad of stories, and I've had a lot of sad things in my life. Some people maybe would have quit and different things, but I'm not here to discuss really that. It's just what are we going to do in this, for this world? And that's what really in the big picture drives me. And if people that don't like me or things like that, I just think a lot of times when people are really happy with themselves, they don't really say that about other people. And I just wish that they find themselves and have faith, because how I express myself in my fashion, my music, or different things, it doesn't mean I should really affect them that way. It was a personal opinion. And I just, I don't want to say I pray for them. I don't want to say like that, but I really hope they're going to find themselves. And if they are happy and they just don't like who I am, that's okay too. It's life. And maybe one day they will be like, oh, you know what? She was not that bad. I don't know what I was thinking. And if maybe not, it's not really, I don't really live for that. I live for the things that I can do for others.
Right. That's beautiful.
Don't you love her?
Yeah, that's absolutely beautiful. I got a question. Is there another celebrity or designer or model, someone's style that you really, love, and that person's, their style and energy help you with your creativity?
I would say growing up, it was definitely Whitney Houston and Celine Dion.
Oh, wow.
Very different, but that's just who my icons are.
Right.
And when it comes to everything, fashion, elegance, beauty, just they're so good at what they do. And there's everything, not just their voices, it's just everything. And I really love Celine Dion's personal life. She kept, obviously we knew, but she's known for her talents, not what she's eating for lunch. And it's very important, because I don't really talk about like what I do on a daily basis. I kind of show the result. And sometimes it's nice to show people what it takes too. I understand. But those two icons are definitely, like, I love Whitney. She's so, obviously great with everything, and sassy personality, because I do like that.
It's surprising that you named them, because I'll tell you why. They have probably two of the most, arguably iconic voices, right? Like, no one argues that. But those are also two very big singers who really aren't known for their fashion sense, right? Like, no one ever went to a Whitney Houston show or Celine Dion show and said, wow, they killed it in their fashion. So it's just,
I don't know. Celine has a lot of following with that. If you watch her documentary, she shows her whole shoe.
I watched the documentary.
It's crazy.
But it's not Radmila. It's not what you would think Radmila would have said.
Right, that's my point.
No.
Your energy.
I thought she would have said share.
Yeah, your energy.
Yeah.
Because her costume design is incredible.
Yes, your energy is very colorful. And like, I've seen Celine do a concert in jeans and a halter top. Like, she wears some stuff. Sometimes she comes out from the back. And if you guys take a look, go back on YouTube or something, you see her sometimes come out with a dress and it looks like she's a schoolgirl.
But regardless, it's still very graceful. It's still very poised.
Yeah, graceful, but it's
together.
not as risque as Radmila. It's not. Radmila is very risque. Like, it's
well, I just think she is who she is. Like, Radmila, you are who you are, and it's so beautiful.
Yeah, it's 12 o'clock in the day, and she has on gloves, and she's got this like, I am woman outfit on. I am me, and it's beautiful. That you're so confident to be what you want to be. But those are two great singers. In my mind, they're, the model, the fashion isn't there. So it's just interesting that their music probably, gave you a lot of your, sense that you love them, but it also helped you in your fashion.
Yeah, and then they're just being authentic themselves, and then they are truly like icons in what they do. And it's like, to me, it's, if Celine Dion would wear maybe Miami Heat, this jumpsuit, she wouldn't feel it's her, right? But when it feels it's me. But when she wears her outfit, she's confident, she's her. And I love Cher, by the way, the fashion and everything that she represents, of course. Yes. But growing up, I'm always thinking of like a whole 360. It's always been Celine Dion and Whitney for me.
Wow. So those are also, in your mind, the two best singers.
Yes.
Am I correct? You don't have
Yeah.
one over the other?
No, honestly, I can't. I can't choose one because it's just so, like, I can't.
100% agree
what do you
with this
think of-
conversation. 100% agree with this
What
conversation.
do you think of Adele?
Oh, Adele's an amazing singer, but again, Adele is a little bit younger than me, so I didn't grow up with her. So I think it's also when you grow up with someone, and it's just certain things you want to be as a little girl. And Adele is wonderful, of course. And her fashion style, I love how the gowns that she's wearing, she's definitely her own self too. So
Right.
I respect her a lot, but it's just different for me.
Is there a particular rapper that you like? I know you work with them in different, in different aspects, but is there a particular rapper? Because people, I'm thinking about the people watching and listening, right? And maybe it's a surprise, but is there a particular rapper out there that you listen to that people would be surprised you listen to them?
Well, I think a lot of people are surprised because in New York, I would always dress in the gowns, like a very elegant gowns, not like extravagant, more like elegant, like turtleneck, black, backless, long, like gowns, things like that, like big bros. So now I do more like funky things, and so people would see me at One Oak wearing my gown, coming from the recitals, whatever I was doing, and well, just because I want to dress that way and dance to, I love early 2000s hip hop, so 50 Cent, Kanye, Jay-Z, all that, I mean, that was my era again. So and that was the club music, and I would just not talk to anybody, dance my thing, and people would be like, oh my God, I mean, they told me I was a good dancer, so I would come with my French outfits too and do my thing and just be like, nobody can talk to me because I didn't want to talk to anybody. I just want to dance. So yeah, I think 2000 to like 99 to 2010 music, 11
Era.
my favorite era. Now music to me, I'm happy that there's a lot of artists out there and but it's just sound to me the same, so
Right.
when you hit that 4 bars, you know exactly what song that is. You know
Right.
exactly what's coming, and people go crazy, and just that energy. And I feel now when I go to lounges and things like that, I feel younger, my age now. I don't think they're having so much fun that we did. Like
Right.
that. So everybody's like, yeah. And now it's too cool to dance. It's too cool to dress up. And I'm like, oh.
That's so amazing too, though, that you literally had a top 40 Billboard hit with Welcome to Magic City. So I don't know if you two have had a chance to listen to the song, but
Yeah, of course.
I've sung it. At a party. I've danced to it at a party in this dress, actually. And then I had such a great time, like listening to the music that she creates, because she was saying, how does she merge the two worlds? So she merged like the opera and the luxury with like the Magic City and for Miami. And it was so great to hear the song. And it was like when they remixed it with DJ Mike, right? Then they remixed it, and then that's when it charted to the top 40 Billboard Insider, right? So how was it creating something like that and bringing in what you wanted?
It was right before COVID or right at the beginning of COVID. And so it's so interesting because I had no idea that Miami is actually named Magic City. I had no idea. So I wanted to do something fun, upbeat. So I called my producer because I did not, I wrote lyrics for it and the vocal melodies, but I didn't do the track. So I called my producer and I was like, I want something upbeat, like, I don't know, something like 80s feeling, like something fun, but and he goes, okay, let me come up with it. So we went back and forth a little bit, and he sent me, I was like, change this, change that. And then I was like, I don't know, I think the name is going to be Magic. And then he goes, okay. So I wrote the lyrics, put it together. And then I was thinking, Magic City, let's go Miami Magic City. And then somebody told me, well, Miami is Magic City. And I was like, really? It's just like shows the synergies of universe sometimes, I was like, oh my God, that's great. And so about a year later, I recorded, because obviously it was COVID, everything was shut down, and I was working on my other compositions. And so I recorded and went really well. It's actually real strings in there and choir. So everything is not just plugins. It's real voices, real instruments in there. And and then it was a very fast song first, Magic, and then DJ Mike T, he remixed it and is more like a vibe beach style. And
Right.
then performed actually medley of both for the halftime show at the Heat for around Christmas time last year. Last year.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Very cool.
That was
You
fun.
know, we spoke to Brian McKnight, another singer. He was on the podcast a few weeks back, and Brian told us that he really didn't connect with his songs until he fell in love with the right person, and then his songs all started to mean something more to him. And the songs that he started writing from that point on, he felt like he had a better connection with those songs than he did in the past. How has love affected your writing and the songs that you've done? Do you feel like you write better when you're in love, compared to when you're not in love? Like, is there a difference in terms of the energy? Does that affect you?
So, absolutely. I mean, whatever you're going through, or the past memories, or certain feeling, because obviously, I've been with my partner for a very long time, so you can't keep falling in love.
Nice.
So-
Best friends now. You're best friends.
uh, but anyway, so what I do is I try to think of maybe somebody's story, or somebody told me about their love, or about somebody's, not just the whole happy sadness too. So I try, because I'm kind of, because I also write, obviously, so I think of that, I start becoming that character. And because like I said, we only live one life, we can only get so many experiences, but living through others. And just, I remember someone losing their child, and I was very close, and I remember that. I mean, I know that feeling. I mean, I don't know. I mean, obviously I'm not the person, but I was there, and I could feel that feeling. And when I was writing my album, Diva, that is not out yet, that will be with my book that I will be releasing. I remember that moments of the person seeing their child
Right.
not alive, and that emotions will translate. I'm sorry, I'm just like, anyway, that translation to that music, that feeling and that lyrics. So basically, yes. So I live through other people and through other people's emotions.
Right.
Yes, I think you have to be very connected to each of your songs, because it's not just a song, it's an art form. And well, some people write songs, and if you write an art form, that's when everybody can feel what you feel. And what I think he was saying is, now is talking to him because that's his art now. That's from the heart.
Right.
And before it was just songs that, songs.
Right.
And so I do believe whatever I put my work to, and just that could be with fashion too, is supposed to be, speaks to your heart. And because you're putting out there for people to feel emotions, trigger something. And if you're not putting it out there, it's just for you, like your own diary is one thing. But if you're putting out there, you're supposed to make people feel something.
Right.
So, yeah, so I absolutely understand where he comes from. And I definitely have a lot of songs that, I write another book is Life is a Bridge. She is a crazy character. So that's a different story by her. So based on the scenes, the songs are very crazy like she is. So yeah, I become one of those characters.
You are such a pro, Radmila. I'm listening to you talk on this podcast, and I know we've talked in so many other situations and scenarios, but I've never had it like this in an interview with you and been across the screen, right? But did you see how quickly she was able to change between characters? Like how quickly she was able to pull the trigger for what she needed for the emotion that was attached to it? Because when she was telling the story about the loss of the child for her friend, then when she switched into the other character for the new album that's coming out, immediately her emotion switched into that character. And it was impressive to watch and to see just how much you really tie things to a character in order to be able to then trigger the emotion required to put that essence into the project that you're working on. I'm so impressed right now, just as your friend, just sitting here like, wow, I'm watching the podcast myself, learning, just in shock right now. It's awesome.
So imagine he's not pissed for John every day. He doesn't know what kind of Radmila he's going to get because I have a bad people.
Nice.
Okay, that will do over dinner.
And that kind of leads to the mental part of things, just how you connect with your emotions and how these different events you use them for your art, whether it's fashion or singing and in that situation. Is there any particular technique or things that you use or you think about that help you with your daily emotions, going through life, having to wear, you're putting on your fashion and you're always singing so creative. I'm just curious to how, because you just seem like you have creativity just exuding out of you every day. It's like you're looking for something to put the next project in.
So accurate.
Thank you. I'm very routine oriented. So for me, I need to have the same routine every morning. And then that's how I can get my day going. I'm very OCD, I would say. So it has to be exactly the same. I mean, of course, things happen. Doesn't mean I'm going to fall apart, but I try to get the same things going. It's like I have I have to brush my teeth, and then 30 minutes later, I can only have coffee because it's not good for your teeth. Like I'm
Right.
very like, I need to have this. Like I have my routine on my prayers, of course. So everything like that has to be in a place. And
Organized.
yeah, very organized. If I have everything, I have a lot of notes on my phone, and everything organized by the date, how it has to be. And if I don't
Wow.
get it, I just think like it's so much going on in my head that I can't rest. Meaning like I can't think. So I have to put everything down. Everything has folders. Everything is, I think my OneDrive is all the documents over, I don't know, thousands of folders for different things, marketing, because I do also marketing. I do pretty much everything. And of course I have a team, but everything has to still come through me, and I have to know what's going on. And that being honest, AI really helps with a lot of things. Some of the things, like some of the drafts and things like that. And I think if
It
you use
does.
the right way, I'm not telling people like I would never write my book or write my songs with AI. Absolutely not, because I take a pride in what I do. But if checking my grammar, well, yeah, because I'm not, I'm not perfect, and I'm a foreigner. So if it can help me with that, so that definitely helped me a lot with my time. And the tools that we have with technology. Yes, definitely routine, definitely faith. I would say that really gets me going on the day. And then having plan, what am I doing?
I love everything that that you're sharing and your openness and some things that you said that have really caught my attention. It sounds like in some ways you're an extrovert, but also an introvert. Like, you kind of go out, but then sometimes you want to turn it on and sometimes you don't, you want to just kind of keep to yourself. But then I'm also hearing you say that it sounds like you're pretty empathic, meaning that you really pick up on other people's emotions and you're able to tap in with that, right? And sometimes for personal experience for me, like sometimes that gets a little exhausting because I'm like, wait, is this mine? Is this someone else's? What is this overwhelming emotion I'm feeling right now? And so when Bailey was saying that you're able to sort of like switch, I'm wondering, how do you manage when those emotions are a little tough? Like, do you feel like you're able to really just switch quickly? Or are there times when you need to sit and process what that emotion is and kind of where it's coming from and what it is and what to do with it?
Personally, I mean, honestly, I don't know in the long run if I'm doing the best thing for in the longevity, because I'm like, when I get sad, I'm like, okay, what makes me happy? Let's have coffee.
Uh,
And so I go, what coffee makes me happy? Let's move to another thing. So I think I do definitely put a lot of things like, come on, Radmila, get up, let's do this. And I do believe it does help, because sometimes when you get too in your emotions and too, you get really, really, especially with all the things that I can think of negative that happen or unfair, I would say. But if you also a spiritual person and you believe everything happens for a reason, so why you're going to be getting too much into, oh, this is unfair, this should not have happened, I did this and these people did not understand me, why would people do this to me, or all other things, why the, some people passed away in your life and things like that, but in the same time, I think it's a balance between two. I think you do have to cry when you really need to cry, but also not to spend too much time on feeling sorry for yourself, because everybody has a story, everybody. And I think it's important to obviously tap into your emotions, but also move on and think of the happy things that makes you happy, and quick. Like I said, getting coffee. Like I like my oat milk cappuccino. That makes me happy. I'm vegan, and so I don't get too many. I don't drink, so I don't get too much of Coca-Cola makes me happy because you know what Coca-Cola represents to me when I was a kid and my mom, like I said, didn't have much. So Coca-Cola was like the celebration of New Year's Eve. So when I see that Coca-Cola that represents the party, like the happiness, it was just me and my mom, but that makes me happy. And so city things make me happy. Shopping makes me happy. By the end of the month, I'm not very happy, but with a credit card, but but I also started working on that about a year ago where I said, Radmila, you can't also depend on like make you happy to buy something. Because that's not good either. I mean, of course, I buy things here and there now, but because you also always, I don't want to depend on anything because in life, depending on things make you actually upset when they not there. So if you can have less of things that you depend on, you have less things to be disappointed about.
Yeah. So it sounds like you're talking about a concept that's very big in like mindfulness and Buddhism and lots of spiritual schools of thought, which is this idea of non-attachment. And that the attachment is what actually causes the suffering. So I'm going a little deep on that because you said, spirituality and faith. So I'm framing it that way. I could talk about that stuff all day long. So I love, is that what you're saying? Like, it's kind of like that concept of let me not attach myself too much in order to avoid too much suffering when that's not there.
Correct. And because I'm very like when I with my friends, so people that around me, I always give everything that I got. And unfortunately, not everybody appreciates at the end. And then you become like, why am I doing all this? And I'm not saying that I'm still gonna be me. It's who I am. I don't want to change myself and be like, oh, well, let me not do this bother. But I still have to be a little bit more protective of my own heart. And if I'm gonna do something, then just don't expect them to love you back or care for you back. Maybe just do it because you want to, but not something you return because people are people.
Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely. I love that. I think sometimes expectations can really be a cause of suffering because you're like, oh my gosh, I did this, this, and this, and I wanted this, this, this in return. And
Yes.
maybe it doesn't always work out like that. Right. So I think that's beautiful that you have that perspective. So when you are going through a tough time, right? And you've been through that. Obviously, you said, I don't spend too much time thinking about that. So what are the things that you do for your self-care? You mentioned your routine, you mentioned coffee, you mentioned retail therapy, Coca-Cola. Like what are things that you do to like help yourself recharge? Like if it's just too much, too many people, I need to sort of like what does that look like for you? Is it solitude? Do you need isolation? Like how do you recharge?
I'm definitely very, yeah. Sometimes I'm like, am I people be a person? Or I'm like, I like to be a hermit in the room because I do, like, you see the light? It's not usually like this. I have blinds down. It's very warm in the room. I usually put like, because I'm always cold. So I have to put like 83 degrees. I close my blinds and I'm literally in the dark. And that's how I can focus and work. That people don't see that the computer work that I have to do and on other things for writing or whatever I'm doing, I have to be in my space. I'm very, of course I can work around people, but I just become my energy. I'm not full in my energy myself because I do feel energies of people in a room. When I walk in, I feel something, something is off. But people say something, I think I'm pretty good at reading people's mind, like what they feel, what they're going through. We all do that too. I mean, it's not just my talent, but I do need that space, like creative space, dark, warm. That's my cave. Also for me, how I deal with stress is that I always get acupuncture. I'm vegan, so like I mentioned, and I'm all about Chinese medicine or herbs or vitamins, supporting your immune system, supporting inflammation in your body. So to me, those things are super important. Once a week, I get massage. I do my own facials, but I get it done too. But something to self-care for me is super important. That's how I deal with my stress.
Yeah, I love that. And again, going back to something that you said, and you were talking about you feeling everything, and you can walk in a room and feel energy. And this is something that I think is really common. I mean, a lot of people, but it's particularly people who are artists. I think one of the things that allows them to have that beautiful outlet is because they do feel so much and they pick up on so much. right? So, Robert, we've talked about this before, with Kennedy, that she was an artist, and we think
Yeah.
like that's, that was something, her sensitivity and her art was her outlet. And so I'm wondering, so Radmila, how do you see that in your world with your peers? It sounds like you have a good handle on knowing when you need your self-care and how to handle that and what to do when you have your routine. So how do you see that with your peers? And is there anything that you can offer maybe for somebody who's listening to this? It's like, man, I do feel a lot. I do walk in a room and I feel a lot of energy and I do feel what other people are feeling. How do I manage that? Like, what tips would you give?
Definitely create, if they don't have the routine, definitely creating a routine where it's just, wow, you with yourself and whatever that is, um, routine in the morning, write everything down. Some people like to write by hand. It relaxes a lot of people, but that moment with yourself is super important. I hope somebody has spirituality. Maybe they can say pray or meditate or say thank you to, even if they don't have faith, but thank you, be grateful for things that they're grateful for. Name those things. I personally never said, of course I say prayers and everything, but lately I've been saying that's very personal to share. I've been saying apologies to God because we all should apologize because we're not that perfect, So I do apologize and I thank him before my prayers or after my prayer. So, and like my hands are out and that's the way I connect. And so I would say those are important, and definitely whatever makes you happy, think of those things that, and little things that make you happy, whatever they are. Maybe if you like play a video game, maybe don't play all day, but play like, I don't know, 10 minutes. Whatever makes you like completely be in your own world. Whatever, that is good for you. Obviously, not like, let me have a drink. Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. So definitely take what I call those pockets of peace, right? And do the positive things that make you feel good. I love that. So, Bailey, I think you had another question, right?
I've got a funny one if everyone's done with their serious stuff.
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, great. Because I want to get this on recorded video podcast. And Radmila, as my girlfriend girly, you got to have my back on this. Do you know what Robert did to me? Do you remember my yellow suit that I wore to the NBA game? It was like yellow jacket with white underneath with yellow pants. And I had like the hair slicked back Kim Kardashian style. And yeah, that was a good suit, right? Yeah. Yeah, because we live on Fashion Island. You're the queen of Fashion Island, but I get to be on the island. I'm not on the island alone anymore because I have somebody who isn't afraid to come out and show up and be loud in their attire. And Robert clowns me about this yellow suit all the time about the fact that I showed up at a Heat game and wore a yellow suit because apparently it's not shown on a photo or TV or something he saw. But in the essence of what Radmila just said about apologies, I think you should apologize for clowning me about my yellow suit. Because
I will say this. I want to say this, Radmila. That everyone in the Heat Stadium that particular night wore, black and red, and Bailey just stood out in the whole crowd when the camera came. All you saw was this yellow figure, and it was Bailey, and I made fun of her. I said it. It was this big yellow suit. And I said some things I probably shouldn't have said, but only because she's my sister, I joked with her. So I will say in front of one of the most fashionable songwriters, singers, number one basketball fan on the side of the court, I will say in front of you, I apologize for making fun of your friend in her big yellow outfit.
Why are you big now? You apologize for that. Now it's
I'm sorry. Yellow outfit. But I now see where she gets her ideas from. I do, because she sent us a picture of you. She sent a picture of you to me and Misty, and I was like, where is she? I don't know where she is. And she's like, she's across the court in that blue pants or something.
Lime green. She's the lime green spot in the middle of the photo.
Lime green pants. And all you could see, like once I heard that color, I didn't even have to zoom in. You just saw the lime green amongst the rest. And I just want you guys to know that is how you guys stand out. You're relevant. That to me shows a lot of confidence. Baby, I want to tell you something. You and Radmila have a lot of energy and a lot of confidence, and it's a lot of positive energy, and you're good spirits. You're good spiritual people. I appreciate that. I know you both, and am actually honored that you're on the podcast, Radmila, and I'm honored that Bailey is a part of our host.
Oh, no, I'm so happy. This is a fun podcast. Honestly, I did not know what to expect. I knew that it's gonna be fun, but I did not
Right.
know. And I'm so happy that we were able to connect. And there's so many things that I would love to discuss even more off camera. Just you guys have so much of things that I love and to talk about. Maybe we can all grab dinner or something like this one day.
Yes.
Let's do it.
I tell you, just before we go, there's something that you said, and it just brought memories of my daughter. I would sometimes offer to take her to the mall to go shopping, and she would say, no, drop me at the thrift store. And I would take her to the thrift store, and I would drop her off because she would just say, leave. She wouldn't even let me stay with her. And she would be in the thrift store. I think the people at the thrift store knew her or something, because she would be in there for 2 hours minimum. And she would call me and she would say, Daddy, I'm ready. And I would go pick her up, and she would have bags and bags of clothes. And I couldn't see the life that she saw in each item. And she would take those items and cut them up, paint them, sew them. She did all of that. And when you mentioned your story about putting this material together and putting this dress together to the point where when you took it apart, you couldn't even put it back, that reminded me of my daughter so much. And I just want to thank you for that.
Oh, of course, of course. Yeah, it's
We love you, Robert.
Yes, that reminded me of her. And
I had a feeling that story was going to come up.
Yeah.
But I thought you were going to do it off like in our post podcast.
Yeah. But
I'm
thank you
crying
so much,
when you
Radmila.
started, yeah.
You're a wonderful, wonderful person. Thank you for coming on. We absolutely enjoyed getting to know you, and the energy and the background and mom and how everybody affected you and how you live your life moving forward. And I hope people can take some of your advice and just do things that make them happy.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much for sharing. We don't know each other, but I love what you represent, and your daughter is a beautiful lady.
Thank you so much.
Right.
We're all sad now, but everybody was acting.
Everybody's crying now.
Thank you,
Radmila.
Radmila.
Close us out.
Close it out. Close it out.
Oh,
Thank you, Radmila.
No,
Thank you,
thank you
Radmila.
very much for your time, and you're so much more than just the heat courtside lady. And we know, but seriously, in all seriousness, thank you. I mean, I learned a lot, not just about you, but it gave me a lot of food for thought for my own life. And I think all of us who were a part of this and who listen to this will be able to say the same. So thank you so much for your grace and your beauty and your wisdom and your authenticity and giving us permission to do the same. So thank you for being here.
Thank you,
If
Radmila.
you want to learn anything more about my dear friend Radmila Lolly, visit radmilalolly.com. That's Radmila with 1 L and Lolly with 2. And of course, if you or a friend needs help, please dial 988 for assistance. Obviously, if it's the situation is urgent, please dial 911. And if you would love to learn more, please visit our resources tab on KennedyKidsFoundation.org. No, KennedyKids.org. What the heck is the website?
KennedyKids.org. You bet.
You got it. KennedyKids.org.
I'm still trying, but you know where to find us. Thank you all for listening and
That's what
joining
I'm
us.
talking about. Cookouts, barbecues, and the fish fries. Blue lights, basement parties, I ain't never lied. Okay. I made it through the rough time. made it through the tough time. I made it through the bad time. So now I gotta get mine. Gotta weather the storm.